It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage.
For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory.
The Buffalo Bills have the not-so-dubious distinction of entering the Orange Bowl having not won there since 1966. 16 games have been played in this South Florida playground since Lyndon Johnson was president, and the Bills have managed only a tie against the Miami Dolphins, that in 1968. But we are now in 1983, and the Dolphins have been lying down on the job a bit too much to suit Coach Don Shula's tastes. To awaken a slumbering offense, the Dolphins have handed the ball over to rookie quarterback Dan Marino, their #1 draft choice from Pittsburgh. Marino's inexperience could give an edge to the Bills, who boast 11-year veteran Joe Ferguson at the helm. Ferguson has looked good in 1983 in implementing the offense designed by first-year head coach Kay Stevenson, a former Bills assistant. After an opening game shutout at the hands of these Dolphins, Buffalo's offense has been sharp, as Ferguson has enjoyed one of his best starts ever. Stevenson is hoping that his Bills can make Dan Marino's first NFL start a losing one, and in the process change the course of Dolphins-Bills history. This AFC East rivalry has been lopsided in favor of Miami. From the Orange Bowl, it's the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins in the NFL Game of the Week. The game's start was marred by turnovers. On the opening kickoff, Buffalo's Rob Riddick, #40, took the ball 5 yards deep in his own end zone and sprinted to the 13-yard line before fumbling. The Dolphins recovered, giving Dan Marino excellent field position at the Bills' 17-yard line. But Marino's first pass was tipped at the line of scrimmage and picked off by Steve Freeman, #22. Freeman's interception was an early indication that Buffalo's defense was going to be a tough nut to crack for Marino in his first NFL start. Entering this Week 6 contest, the Bills ranked 4th in the league in defending the pass, and they made it rather uncomfortable for the rookie quarterback from Pittsburgh. A strong pass rush led to a sack by Ben Williams, #77. But the biggest problem Marino had was reading Buffalo's complex pass coverages. He was saved from a second interception when cornerback Chris Williams, #27, couldn't hold on to a ball that appeared to be thrown right to him. While Marino was somewhat confused in the pocket, 11-year veteran Joe Ferguson was poised and confident as he coolly picked out open receivers. First, #82, Frank Lewis over the middle. Then a couple of short, quick strikes to running back Joe Cribbs, #20. Second completion to Cribbs brought the ball inside the Dolphins' 20-yard line. From there, Ferguson continued to attack the NFL's #1 pass defense through the air. On 3rd and 5 from the 10-yard line, he found Byron Franklin, #85, on the left side of the end zone for the touchdown. With 16 seconds remaining in the first quarter, the Bills had jumped out to a 7-0 lead. Buffalo victories in the Orange Bowl have been excruciatingly difficult to come by, and no one knows that better than Joe Ferguson. Ferguson has had his shares of ups and downs as Buffalo's quarterback for the last decade. Most agree that when he's on, he's as potent as any passer in the league. Against the Dolphins, it was evident that Ferguson was on. A bullet over the middle to Lewis helped set up Ferguson's second touchdown pass in 5 minutes. A beautifully thrown ball to Franklin, number 85. The second hookup between Ferguson and Franklin increased Buffalo's lead to 14-0 and showed most convincingly that the Bills intended to break the Orange Bowl jinx by being aggressive, not by sitting back and waiting for something to happen. Marino was now in a tough spot. His confidence could not have been very high at this point in the game, 5 minutes into the second quarter. But he kept throwing, and again the Bills showed him that it's not easy to be a rookie quarterback starting in the NFL. Number 52, Chris Keating's interception pointed out a major difference between college and the NFL. Keating, a linebacker, dropped back to play the pass, and Marino, not expecting a linebacker to cover so quickly, fired the ball without knowing or seeing the defender. The result was an interception, Marino's second of the half. Don Shula had little to be happy about, with his team trailing 14-0 in the Bills at the Miami 25-yard line. But Buffalo did not score, and Shula decided it was time for the Dolphins to go to the ground game. Woody Bennett, number 34, was the main man as the Dolphins mounted their first serious scoring opportunity of the half. Bennett carried 4 times for 37 yards, the last yard producing Miami's first touchdown of the game. The Dolphins went 86 yards in 12 plays, running the ball on 8 of them to cut Buffalo's lead to 14-7. But with less than 5 minutes left in the first half, Bills coach Kay Stevenson was not about to turn conservative. He wanted more points, and so it was time for Ferguson to go back to the air. Diving catch by Jerry Butler, number 80, was followed by a more routine Ferguson to Butler connection, and the Bills were quickly in field goal range. But Joe Danello's last-minute field goal attempt was no good, and Buffalo settled for a 14-7 halftime advantage. The Bills had played a strong first half, but their failure to capitalize on 2 excellent scoring opportunities haunted them as they made their way to the locker room. The second half began with Buffalo's defense again putting pressure on Marino, as Ben Williams, number 77, registered his second sack of the day. But Marino had remained rather calm in the face of the Bills' clawing defense, and he began to pick out his receivers as the third quarter unfolded. A short completion to Mark Duper, number 85, obviously helped Marino's confidence, for on the next series he again threw to Duper, only this time it was good for 63 yards and the tying touchdown. Marino had survived a shaky first half, and his long pass to Duper showed his teammates that he could bring them back. Dolphin fans of all ages rejoice. Be proud to wear your Dolphins cap. Unfortunately for Miami, the 14-14 tie did not last very long. A wild third quarter continued when Ferguson tossed his third touchdown pass of the game. This one to number 34, Booker Moore. The The Bills bounced back in a hurry on a play that seemed so easy to execute. Another look shows that Ferguson's fake to Joe Cribbs, number 20, sent everybody to the right, leaving Moore all alone for the 11-yard score. Buffalo refused to fold when the Dolphins came back. Instead, the Bills showed that their previous performances in the Orange Bowl may be nothing more than a bit of ancient history. Maybe it was time for Buffalo to write a little of its own history. To Don Shula's way of thinking, matters had now progressed entirely too far for this game to be without one of his world-famous gadget plays. And late in the third quarter, the Dolphins finally came up with one, much to the delight of the Orange Bowl faithful. Rookie wide receiver Mark Clayton found fellow pass catcher Mark Duper for his second long scoring reception of the period. Miami's double reverse buffaloed the Bills completely as the Dolphins tied up the ball game again. Duper's two dazzlers had been a somewhat unexpected bonus so far, but there was one Miami constant that had not been quite as prominent. Even with their league-leading ranking as the #1 defensive unit, the Killer Bees were not being quite as ornery as they had shown in the past. Now that the Miami offense had shown some spark, perhaps the B-Boys would get down to stopping a will-o'-the-wisp of a different stripe, Buffalo runner Joe Cribbs. But that wasn't going to be easy. On the Bills' very next drive, Cribbs was the featured performer, and the Dolphin defense was unable to stop him. Cribbs accounted for most of the Bills' yardage in this early fourth quarter march, thus entitling him to scoring honors when the drive's grand finale was in sight. It was one of 9 receptions Cribbs would make on the day, a performance that had to convince anyone watching this game that although Cribbs may not be playing for Buffalo next year due to contract obligations elsewhere, lame duck status is a condition he simply will not tolerate. Thanks to Cribbs and the increasingly incendiary passing of Joe Ferguson, the Bills had taken the lead for the third time. But this game would see no one go up by more than a touchdown the rest of the way, as the seesaw affair continued. Young Dan Marino continued to match the veteran Ferguson pass for pass and yard for yard. Mark Clayton hauled in this Marino bomb, and then the Dolphin infantry began to pound away at Buffalo's defense with slashing and profitable little runs. Tony Nathan got the team close. Then Marino wrapped up the drive with a scoring toss to old reliable wide receiver Nat Moore, number 89. Nat's catch enabled the Dolphins to tie for the third time, and a big ingredient to the play's success was a well-timed block from Miami fullback Andra Franklin, number 37. When Marino rolled out, Franklin protected the passer with his blocking, thus giving the rookie quarterback time to make the completion. Little more than 7 minutes remained in the game, and the outcome was still far from decided. The Bills, who had the better of things for most of the afternoon, still found themselves tied at 28. and had to wonder if the Orange Bowl jinx was that powerful. Could Buffalo overcome the mental stigma of their dreary history of Orange Bowl defeats and still win the game? The answer would not come until they had ridden out an emotional roller coaster that would carry both teams to a stunning and surprising conclusion. It seemed as if each Bill in his own way was trying to get himself mentally prepared for the crunch time of this game. But no amount of sideline psyching could prepare them for what proved to be Joe Ferguson's only real mistake of the ballgame. And from Buffalo's point of view, it could not have come at a more inopportune moment. Ferguson simply overthrew his receiver, and number 41 Fulton Walker easily intercepted. This was the break Miami had been waiting for, and it didn't take long to capitalize on it. The rookie combination of Marino and Clayton clicked again, and suddenly the Dolphins were in the driver's seat. Marino's first pro start had been very impressive, with 3 touchdown passes within a 20-minute span. For the first time in the game, the Dolphins had the lead, and with 3 minutes to play, it looked like Miami's mastery over the Bills was going to carry over for at least one more year. That is, if the Killer Bees could shut down the Bills for good. By all appearances, this looked like Buffalo's last chance, so the Dolphins needed to make a big play early to stunt the drive. They got it when Mike Kozlowski, number 40, ran a safety blitz, which put Ferguson and the Bills in a dangerous 3rd and long situation. The Dolphins were just about ready to celebrate, but that would have been a mistake, for Joe Ferguson was having his day of days as a professional quarterback. He set new team highs for attempts, completions, and yardage. On this drive alone, he completed 9 passes. Ferguson would finish the game with 38 completions for 419 yards, shattering team marks that had stood for nearly 20 years. And right now he was shattering the veneer of Dolphin defensive invincibility as he marched his team toward the game-tying touchdown. Miami stopped Jerry Butler just short of the end zone, bringing on a nail-biting 4th and 1 situation. Only 28 seconds remained in the game. Ferguson came through with his 5th touchdown pass of the day. And following a Joe Danello extra point, the game was tied once again at 35-35. Don Shula himself was fit to be tied as he had seen his lead slip away. But more Dolphin frustration was to follow as the game moved into overtime. Miami won the toss and appeared as if they were going to settle matters quickly. At least it seemed that way for a while. But Buffalo stiffened after some early Miami gains, forcing a 52-yard field goal attempt from Uwe von Schamen. It was not a high-percentage kick, and von Schamen missed it. The Dolphins checked the Bills on their first try, though, and moved downfield easily when they got the ball back. This set the stage for another von Schamen try. This one a little closer at 43 yards. But again, the Dolphin place kicker was unable to convert. Twice Miami had tried but had come up short. 5 minutes remained in overtime. And once more it was Joe Ferguson who stepped to the forefront. Too often his team had tasted defeat in the Orange Bowl. And now at long last, the Bills could sense that maybe this would finally be the day to erase a painful past with a victory in Florida. A Mike Mosley completion and 2 short runs set up a 36-yard field goal attempt by Joe Danello. And the ex-Giant kicker drove a stake into the Dolphins' heart with a shot through the uprights. After 17 years and nearly 5 full quarters of football, the Buffalo Bills had done it. The 38-35 victory ended the long drought against the Dolphins, while putting the Bills in a first-place tie in the AFC East. In ancient mythology, the character Sisyphus had been cursed with the task of carrying a heavy boulder up a mountain, only to see it roll back downhill every time. It was a curse he carried throughout his life. Against Miami, the Buffalo Bills until now had been a modern-day Sisyphus, but finally they had escaped this fate. In one of the most memorable wins in team history, the Bills beat both history and a great team. The Orange Bowl jinx was gone at last.